What's going on, YouTube? You may have noticed that in recent videos, I've been doing a lot of videos outside, and as with anything, there's pros and cons. Of course, anybody who steps outside and takes a breath of fresh air, at least if you live in the upper portion of the United States, in the Midwest, you know that recently we have had absolutely gorgeous weather, perfect temperature, perfect color. It's just perfect. And even a person like me who's always on the go, who's usually inside someplace, even when I am on the clock or I decide to do a video, I just cannot resist stepping outside my home, my vehicle, and taking a breath of fresh air and admiring nature at this time of the year. I love it. So, of course, that's the pro. The con is when you're making an audio bite and you're outside, of course, you have no control over the surrounding sounds of the environment. As you can hear in the background, birds chirping. In the far distance, what I'm actually walking away from, you can hear a generator. You can hear a PSA system or PA system here outside the main terminal of this airport in Knoxville. And you hear a lot of different things. Pretty soon you'll hear people, but nonetheless, I just feel like it's worth my while. Now, as far as my other social media accounts, as I said, I now have a Patreon account up and available. If you guys want to go there and support my content, support what I do, the only thing I require you to do, the only thing I encourage you to do, is do whatever you feel is necessary. If you just want to go hang out on my Patreon, that's cool. All my content is free. However, if you want to become a paid subscriber on my Patreon, that's fine. If you would like to donate to my PayPal, that's fine. If not, please, by all means, continue to enjoy my content. I'm never going to be that YouTuber. Even if I do decide to start vlogging as a professional career move, like Mr. Sotomayor and some others, I'm never going to pressure you guys into surrendering your money. If you feel it's within your heart, to help a brother out, hey, that's on you. I don't, like I said, I don't live off of this stuff. I run my own business. I have toyed with the idea of becoming a professional vlogger, but we'll see what happens in the long run. All my links, with the exception of my Gab TV, are in the description box. Okay. I'm trying to think. No, there may be a way that I can safely put the link to my Gab TV in the description box of my videos. For obvious reasons, I can't show the home page of my Gab TV, but there may be another way that I can do that. I'll keep you guys updated on that. As a matter of fact, I may, if I figure out that way, I may put it here in this video. In the meantime, before I get to the topic at hand, which is engraved in the title, of course, I decided I'm not going to dedicate another entire video to this issue. But you recall a few days back, I made a video about black women and their obsession. No, let me scratch that. There's nothing wrong with black women being, into black men. That's not, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Let me explain what I'm saying. Okay? Black women who claim to hate black men, okay, who claim to be anti-black masculinity, many of whom claim to be pro-white, pro-non-black, anything else masculinity, who deify white men. I made a video about how a lot of these females online find themselves somehow still yet in the comment section and watching the videos and thumbs downing the videos and flagging the videos of black men that they claim to hate. The biggest example of this, of course, is Mr. Tommy Sotomayor. A lot of people would find this hard to believe, but considering that we know in recent years that Tommy Sotomayor has not only interviewed Ratchet Thoughts, he has dated and slept with Ratchet Thoughts. That's the main reason why, I kind of fell out with him and, stopped watching his content regularly. Because he bangs the very same trash females that he criticizes. You know what I'm saying? I told myself, like Israel, never again after my last relationship. And really before that. Okay? But the fact is, Tommy can trash black women all day long. And he's famous enough now to where he could go to any major city in the hood where people recognize him, including black females who've talked shit, even threatened him. And he can sleep with these hood rats. Easily. Because black women, these types of black women, they like and they thrive negative attention from men. And since black men, no matter how much they, try to play make-believe, with the pink package and, swirling 2018, all that fucking nonsense, they know the same thing that we know, okay? On a statistical scale, no man on planet Earth is going to pay attention to them to the point where that all of them collectively get paid attention to, whether they're attractive, unattractive, whatever. Nobody's going to pay more attention to them than a black male. They know this. So they continue to fuck with us. They continue to seek our attention by fucking with us, pretending like they hate us, pretending like they want to argue with us, even pretending like they're someone else, just for the sole purpose of having us look in their direction. Hell, when I came back from my 1 week, being 1 week off from YouTube 2 weeks ago, I had that Egyptian troll. Within days of coming back making videos, here she is. She makes a video about me, knowing the consequences full well. And as soon as I responded to her video and let her know if she wants more, she can get it, she hid the video and went back to talking her regular shit on her channel. She just wanted to know that I still cared enough to come put her in check. Soon as she saw me come back, black women have a need for attention, and they will get it any way they can find it. Another prime example of this are the screenshots and the post that I'm about to show and read to you. I just wanted to get this out of the way before I got to the main course, because like I said, I decided to make this a split commentary content video, because I'm not going to waste a whole video on this nonsense. But I had to revisit this because this simply solidifies what I've been telling you guys for the past several months. These black females that claim that they swirling and only want white men, even the ones who have been with white men, like Paris Milan, like Cynthia G, they don't really want to get rid of black men. They want us to believe that they want to get rid of us. That includes Brooklyn Blue. Remember Brooklyn Blue talking about some character on that stupid Black Panther movie could get it, meaning her sex? Black women will do anything and everything, including the ones that have successfully swirled, to garner our attention. But let me read you guys this nonsense that was pasted on my video concerning black females. Ironically, it was pasted on my video about black females and their obsession with black social media spaces like YouTube, while these same black females claim to be done with black men. Bear with me. Okay, now, I noticed that every major video that I produce, especially if it's in regards to the dysfunction or disingenuousness or anything negative related to black females, I will always get at least one and sometimes two responses directly from black female trolls. And sometimes there'll be trolls that are disguising themselves as something else. As in this case, this troll, which later turned out to give themselves away as a black female, actually originally disguised herself as a white male nationalist. And I just want you guys, I just want to share this with you guys briefly before I touch on the topic at hand, to help you understand just how desperate and pathetic these females are that come to our spaces, because they know that we're the only ones that will, give them any serious amount of attention. So this comes from a poster by the name of Anunnaki Child, and I should have known from the name that, what I was dealing with. But again, at first I thought I was dealing with a white nationalist. So check this out. Quote, "It's hard not to notice how different whites and blacks really are after the past few years of blacks making statements that are racist as hell. As whites are taught and told we need," now notice this person said we need to treat each other as equal and integrate in every way possible, blacks are preaching something else. Whites are told they are racists if they have all white clubs, etc. Yet blacks make everything exclusively black, openly stating blacks only. Buy black made products only, bank at black owned banks only, etc. If that's what they want, then fine. Just remember, you get back in life what you give. Blacks want segregation and they want it now. Whites are at the point of the same but aren't allowed to say it, or they are racist. Never forget all the whites that gave their lives fighting for integration. They died for nothing. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be with your own race. It's natural, actually. The next time you feel like calling a white racist, remember segregation is what you wanted. And that was the first opening salvo from Anunnaki Child. And I responded simply by, and you'll notice something, and this is why, normally I don't waste my time engaging with trolls, but I have always said if a person wants to have a logical debate where they're not cussing or insulting me, you will notice on several occasions where I will actually engage with them. It's only when they start getting stupid and irrational or, making straw arguments when I will, start, basically shutting them down, telling them to go fuck themselves and blocking them. But it started off logical enough. Okay, so I'm thinking at this point, I'm dealing with a white nationalist who think they have a legitimate argument, using my videos as basis for um, proof that their side is correct in, wanting separation of the races, right? So I respond to this Anunnaki child person by saying, I really don't know what the point of your statement was, as it has absolutely nothing to do with the content in this video, which should have been my first warning sign. That should have been the first red flag. However, I continued. However, it is my and several other black YouTubers' opinion that desegregation was the biggest mistake that ever happened to black people. And all we have to do is look at our society to see why. Every other ethnic group was allowed to integrate into American society while flourishing together in their own communities except blacks. Racist whites from post-slavery, including Jim Crow and the Civil Rights era, deliberately kept blacks out of jobs, school, and economic opportunities, but also instigated trouble on a political and confrontational scale to keep blacks from killing their own. The race riots in Rosewood, Florida, and Tulsa, Oklahoma are prime examples of this. If blacks had have been left alone, we would be a much different people. We were weakened, stripped of our ancestry, and told to mix in with whites. Integration doesn't work unless a group of people has a foundation, any more than a skyscraper can stand without falling, without having underground structural support. And so then Anunnaki child responds, and this is when you know that you're dealing with either a black simp or a black female. Because when you present a logical rebuttal to an argument or a statement that they make, then they get stupid on you. Remember what David Carroll said? Because their brains are, they have the IQ level of a dehydrated BB. So when you throw big words at them, when you use logic, when you present angles of attack in your arguments as a defense lawyer would, during a court trial, then they come back at you with stuff that has, it either has absolutely nothing to do with, what was being said, or they just get completely, they just go completely off the mark trying to insult you or trying to, present something that has nothing to do with 8 foot. So a Anunnaki child responds, LOL, sorry, but your statement is so one-sided. It's pointless to rebuke it, as whites won't admit the fear they carry every day of blacks. Please do push the segregation. We want our children to live. Now notice, person said we again, right? We want our children to live in a safe society without the fear of getting gunned down. We are a very different people and will do much better apart. Okay. And then Anunnaki child goes on to say, one more thing. Other races flourish because they don't act like you. Just being honest. No other race acts so out of control and wild. Okay. So then I respond to Anunnaki child by saying, I support separation of the races. But as far as gun violence, neither blacks nor whites have much to worry about from the other side. We have gang violence killing our children with stray bullets, and you all have school and other forms of active shooter violence killing yours. That cannot be placed on blacks, buddy. Last week in Texas was a prime example of that. How many is that again? I lost count. And Las Vegas? We're not going to even go there. That dude increased Nevada's yearly murder rate by 15%. LOL. Talking about the mass shooting by Stephen Paddock on the Las Vegas Strip that killed 58 people and wounded like 489 crazy amount of innocent people. I went on to respond to Anunnaki child by saying, there are 2 reasons why black people are in the situation that they are in right now. One is the breakup of the family structure, which was set off by 2, the allowed and even encouraged abuse of welfare policy. These policies were written and marketed by white liberals with hidden and often not so hidden agendas to use the black situation as a pawn to line their own pockets. If you're going to rant like a black female, LOL, make sure that you know your history and facts, son, especially if you're going to do so on my comment thread. Your white ancestors have placed their sticky paws in everyone's cookie jar across the world. India, China, South America, the Middle East, South Asia, you name it. In many cases, they set up puppet governments so that even decades after they leave, European and American companies and agencies can come in to siphon money and resources from these same countries that they infiltrated, psychologically destroyed, and then have the nerve to call third world. Why do you think the US government wants to disarm North Korea of its nuclear weapons so badly? And we're going to get to that at the conclusion of this. It's not because they think Kim Jong-un will do something rash. It's because he and the Chinese don't play into the white man's little game of control and manipulation. In the case of black Americans, we would not even be here, much less in the state we are in, if your ancestors had have left us in Africa. The excuse is always made that blacks sold blacks into slavery. Yes, there is obviously to this day a lack of loyalty between our tribes, but two wrongs don't make a right. Idiots who make that argument are as ludicrous as Negroes who argue that the CIA flooded black communities with drugs and guns. That didn't mean we had to pick them up and poison and kill each other with them. I want what is best for my people. Every time I see an interracial relationship, it disgusts me. I know the mental sickness of black people, but you need to know the mental sickness of your people as well, because at this point I'm still assuming this person is white. There are many things that we need to improve on. I could go down the list, but it would take too long. While I don't allow blacks to use this as a walking crutch excuse, it is the truth and historical fact that had Whitey left us the hell alone, we would still be in Africa. So you have your own ancestors to blame for that. You can't lay bare in the grass and then stand up complaining that you have fleas, right? So I presented a logical argument, okay, without insulting, without going rash, and with responding with historical fact and evidence to the argument that was being made and presented, to me, right? So then this is how I know that this is when the black female, she gets over emotional and like her simp counterpart, and she gives herself away. Now, a lot of people will argue, well, okay, she gives herself away as a black female troll instead of a white nationalist. Because what a white nationalist would do is, even if they started getting emotional and hurling insults, they wouldn't come the way this person came. So a person would say, a untrained person, to the untrained eye, they say, well, this could be a black female or a simp. No, this couldn't be a black female or a simp. And here's why. Check out her final response. Brian Solange, you are assuming I am white. I am not. Now hold on. Didn't this idiot say on 2 occasions they referred to themselves as we when they mentioned white people? Meaning that they were indicating that they were white and that their children were white and that they advocated separation of the races, right? But that's not all. Check it out. So see, your racism and hate is so deep, you can't see through it. I am mixed with Italian, Persian, and white. Now hold on a second. First of all, Italians are Europeans, okay? Persians, from what I know, they're Iranians. But if you're so mixed, if you're partially Arab and Italian, why are you advocating for an Aryan nation of white people and proclaiming that you want to separate from other races, primarily that being black people? especially when you consider that Persia, I believe that Arab people are in Persia, and I believe that's part of Iran. I'm not sure of the exact history or geographical accuracy of it, but most Arabs come from North Africa, the same continent that Negroes come from. Okay, so if you're mixed with Middle Eastern Arabic blood, why are you a white nationalist? And why do you go out of your way? Then that gave it away right there. Why would you go out of your way to tell me that you're mixed? But it doesn't stop there. See, this is the stupidity of this is the Egyptian troll in action. I'm not saying that this is directly the Egyptian troll, maybe, but this is the Egyptian troll in 101 that I'll be telling y'all about. Let me read the whole thing verbatim, and then y'all will see how stupid this troll moron is. You are assuming I am white. I am not. So see, your racism and hate is so deep, you can't see through it. I am mixed with Italian, Persian, and white. My husband is black and Swedish. People like you make the world ugly, period. You will never bring my children down and teach them to be victims. All 4 of my kids are straight A students and behave like normal human beings, not animals. I prefer the white side of our family because they are not racist. Our black side hates and blames everyone for everything that goes wrong except for themselves. My kids don't deserve to be judged by their whiteness or their blackness. They deserve to live in a world that rewards them for what they contribute. Now let's end our conversation. I have a happy life to live while you cry and hold your hand out. It's embarrassing, actually. The world will never respect you with your attitude. You should look up Candace Owens. I'm just going to hold my thought on that. She could teach you some things. I also recommend traveling the world. We are flying to Japan on Friday. Educated people don't act like you. Alrighty guys, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm doing this audio for the first time in a long time in sections, okay? So I'm doing it over a course of several hours. You'll notice different background noises. You'll notice a difference in the tone of my voice. But what you see here, what we've witnessed, what we've heard are classic symptoms of a brain damaged black American female, okay? And let's list the symptoms, okay? Number 1, first, her claiming to be white and pretending to be a white nationalist. Then when I drop too much truth, evidence, and logic on her, when I present a structured argument that she can't rebut, then she completely contradicts herself by saying, I'm not white, I'm mixed with Persian. It's no use calling yourself Italian because Italians are white people. They come from Europe, so go figure, okay? And then her further contradicting herself by saying that she's a Italian, Persian, Swede that is married to a man that is black and Swedish. What the hell kind of sense does that? What the fuck kind of white nationalist are you? What kind of white separatist are you married to a black Swede? What? See, she's lying through her teeth because now her little make-believe pretend game, and see, this is why the Egyptian troll was so afraid to go back and forth with me, back when I was clowning her on BitChute and she just begged me, to leave her alone. Because these black females, when they come up against me, I can do more than just cuss them out like Jap can. I can break their shit down, see. She knew she didn't want to come at me, because she's probably done it under other troll accounts that I've cussed out and blocked. She didn't want to come at me the same way as an angry, bitter, lonely, desperate. So she figured she'd come a different way, right? She'd come at me as a white nationalist, who's surveying over the situation of, how I narrate my videos and shaking his head, calling out my hypocrisy as a black separatist. But then it backfired on her because I was too smart for her. So then she comes out the closet as oh, I'm not even white. See, that just shows your hatred. I'm Persian and I'm Swedish. And you notice while she claimed that her husband was half black and Swedish, she didn't want to proclaim herself as exactly what she was, which was also black and black. She called herself Persian, the whole Kim Kardashian style, Italian, and something else. She didn't want to proclaim herself as that. And what's the one thing we know about the brain damaged black female? She is very, very quick to proclaim herself, her man, or her child mixed, or wish for such. Okay? Other people don't have that problem. Even if this was a mixed race, white nationalist, white separatist, hardcore white nationalists, the last thing that they would want me to know is that they were mixed race and that they had mixed race children and a half black husband. The hell kind of sense does that make? So you already know just right from that this is a symptom of a brain damaged black female yearning for my attention, that's probably been blocked under a different account and is now coming back, under a different account and, trying to use a different a different form of strategy to try to garner my attention. Okay. Then the next thing she does to, give away that she's suffering chronic symptoms of brain damaged black female is she talks about how she has such a happy life and her children are getting a top-notch education and she's happily married. And she even suggests this black female who's a known swirler, for a lack of a more wanting term, Candace Owens, who is like this conservative puppet. She's this black female concubine conservative puppet for the white Sean Hannitys and Bill O'Reillys and such. She's been seen on Fox News several times and whatnot, and everybody knows Candace Owens is she is not a fan of the black race, right? So Candace Owens is one of those old black people should have went with Republicans. We know who Candace Owens is, and maybe someday I'll do a video on her. Right? Now, one has to ask, why would an Italian and Persian and white, which is a complete oxymoron, if you're Italian, you're already white, why would you say you're Italian, Persian, and white? White is not a race, you idiot. It's a political term that we use to define anyone who is of European ancestry. So you could have just lied and said you were Italian and Persian. But no, you had to take it a step further and throw the white in there. And then you had to lie and say that you were married to a black and a Swedish man because you're in love with the notion of having something that is mixed, because you hate being black. You hate your own black ass, right? So then the question has to be raised. Why would a half white, half Persian, female white nationalist married to a half black, half Swedish guy be posting in the first place talking about how she's siding with white nationalists and how black people that want to separate and go back to segregation are going to get their wish because them as white people feel the same way? But then she goes back and suggests that I listen to a Candace Owens, which is a known swirler, again, for lack of a more wanting term, here on YouTube, and then goes on to say that we should end the conversation that she started when I start hitting her with a logical structural argument that she can't handle because she has a brain the size of a dehydrated BB. She says we should end our conversation, and then she signs it. She concludes it with the telltale signature symptom of a brain damaged female telling me about how lavish her life is with her mixed race children and mixed race husband, and talking about how they're on their way to Japan on Friday. And she, mocking me, talking about hope I have a nice life. She's basically compensating, backing out. She sees she's about to get her ass virtually kicked in an argument that she can't hang with, that she can't rebut, that she can't handle. So now she reverts to insults, mocking, playing make-believe, pretending that she's going on a vacation, pretending she has such a happy life, even contradicting herself, saying one thing one moment and then something else the next moment. So you see, this is what I mean. This is what I meant in that video, literally a couple of days ago, that I meant when I asked, where is your white man at and why are you here? This is a prime example. And these are chronic, these are chronic symptoms that you see in every brain damaged black American female, pretending to be married, pretending to have mixed race children and a mixed race or white husband, pretending like she doesn't care what I think or say, telling me have a nice life while she goes on and lives her lavish life, going on a vacation to Japan and putting her kids through, private school and all that nonsense. Even though if she's living such a great life, the question has to be asked, why is she worried about what a little known YouTuber named Brian Solange is saying in his videos, to the point where she's coming on here pretending to be a white nationalist and then completely contradicts herself when I start laying down the law of a structural argument, knocking her already wayward brain about that little marble rolling around inside of her fucking skull. Because she can't hang because she doesn't have the IQ level to hang like the Egyptian troll did. Once again, my point proven. Anyway, other than that, I just wanted to lay that out for you guys as a prime example of what I'm talking about. I'll leave you with what I said to this fool ass female in the end, once I identified her as an infiltrator and a pretender. I ended with this. To a Nunnicky child, quote, LOL, you just exposed yourself as another attention-hungry, undercover black blank troll. I can't say what I exactly said. I can't even show it. But you guys are just going to have to take my word that I'm reading verbatim. The claiming that you have such a lavish, successful lifestyle and the inability to rebuttal the facts I laid down in my response to your bullshit, plus you said you weren't white. You aren't white, even though in the first post you clearly referred to white people as we, including yourself in it. Not to mention you felt the stereotypical urge to claim that you and your make-believe husband are mixed. Only black ratchet blanks do this. You gave yourself away. You got caught with your dirty panties down, and now your hand in the cookie jar blank. You're just another desperate, lonely, bitter Egyptian troll style blank cunt with nothing better to do than come into the social media spaces of influential black male YouTubers. Now, I will block and delete you so you can go on back to your make-believe husband and seek attention elsewhere. But before I do, I will screenshot this for comedy relief to share with my audience in the next video. Thanks for the material, blank. Now, I'm going to leave that at that. And I'm going to go on to the other portion of this video. Like I said, I'm not going to dedicate a whole video this time to the foolishness of these black females. But since this troll came so close in time period of when I released that video, asking, where's your white man at and why are you here? About these desperate black females who claim to hate black men and have such lavish, lifestyles with their mixed race children and white husband, and yet they still trolling black men shit. I had to share that with you guys. Okay, so now, the other portion of this video. Now, as many of you know, this whole Donald Trump thing and Kim Jong-un thing has been going on for the better part of a year. North Korea threatening the United States, with nuclear annihilation. Trump, calling Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man. And, it's back and forth, tit for tat. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, North Korea decides, oh, hey, we want to do a summit with you guys. We want to play nice now. Now, everybody, if the question has been on everybody's mind, first of all, is why would a guy like Kim Jong-un, who's threatening the destruction of America and, paranoid as hell, going back and forth with Donald Trump, you know, like Tariq Nasheed and Tommy Sotomayor, why would he be so quick to want to all of a sudden do a summit with the likes of Donald Trump? He could have done it with Obama. His father could have done it with George Bush Sr. They didn't. So why are they so quick to do it now? Some people suggest that, you know, it's because of the heavy sanctions that the United States has put on North Korea. It's finally starting to get to them economically. Others suspect that, you know, it's some type of strategy to get the United States out of the demilitarized zone in South Korea, so that North Korea can have, you know, easier access to invade South Korea. Others suspect that he's trying to strengthen a partnership with other Asian countries in the area, including China. I hope you guys can hear me okay, because I'm outside walking around and there's wind blowing. I told y'all, a lot of my videos are just going to be outside because it's so nice out here. It's just fucking beautiful. I apologize, my microphone is going to be fucked up. I'm going to try to talk into the microphone as best as I can, but the wind is blowing really hard now. But no matter what Kim Jong-un's purpose is for wanting this summit, even after Donald Trump called it off and basically told him to go fuck himself when Pyongyang's state-run media got caught talking shit about Vice President Pence, you notice that Kim Jong-un, which is highly unusual of him, he came back. He came back, continuing to say, okay, well, we're ready to talk whenever the United States is. It almost sounds like a reversal. It sounds like a Democratic-run United States government diplomat talking to a crazy North Korea. It's like the positions have flipped. So my question is, why in the first place do white-controlled governments, meaning Western nations, primarily being that of the United States of America, why do they want so badly to disarm North Korea and Iran? Now, I can understand the argument for disarm or for making sure that, you know, Arab Muslims don't get their hand on the nuclear warhead. I'm not racist against them or anything, but there's just too many radical fundamentals that don't have a lid on them, like, you know, Saddam over Iraq when he was alive, or like the Pakistani government over the radical Islamic crazies in their country. You know, they can have, you know, the Pakistanis, they can have nuclear weapons because they have something called the secret police, and they keep tabs on these motherfuckers, you know, the radical Muslims, you know, the radical sheikhs and whatnot. You know, so it's easier for them to make sure that those type of lunatics don't get in close proximity of, you know, weapons as powerful as these. However, North Korea, everybody knows that North Korea is not crazy, like, you know, suicide bombing, wanting to see 72 virgins in heaven type of crazy. It's understood that if an Osama bin Laden type motherfucker could launch a nuclear weapon, he would do it, even knowing full well the consequences of doing it. See what I'm saying? So that's why I can understand Israel's, you know, one nuclear strike against Israel would almost complete, even a small nuclear warhead could completely decimate Israel. Israel is nothing but what, 100 miles across and like 70 miles wide or something. So, you know, that's understandable that they would go through that. But the question is, why for North Korea would they go through that when everybody knows North Korea is not going to be stupid enough, unless they do become suicidal, to launch on the United States? They may launch on South Korea, but they would never, even if they had a missile with that type of range, they would never launch on the United States. They're just blowing off steam because they feel like if they have nuclear weapons, that puts them in a position to negotiate, you know, and even try to manipulate the U.S. government, which they're not going to do with Trump, because Trump is as big of an asshole and a big mouth and a jerk as Kim Jong-un is. And I think Kim Jong-un understands that he's met his match. But the real reason why, and I know a lot of you brothers can connect with what I'm saying. The real reason why the white man does not want, because let's face it, they want to say this is country versus country. It's about the security of the world. It's about national security. No. The real reason why the white man does not want North Korea to have nuclear weapons is because North Korea, number one, is way too close to China. And number two, they don't play into the white man's little game of control and manipulation. They don't run our currency through their system, okay? Our banks don't control, the flow of their economy, okay? In other words, the white man does not have his sticky little paws inside of North Korea like he has in virtually everywhere in the world. Did you know that any country that wants to do business with any other country has to use American dollars? Like, say, just at random, say Argentina. Yeah. Say Argentina, a company in Argentina, it doesn't even have to be at a government level. If a company in Argentina needed to purchase a manufacturing part for something that they were building from a company in, say, Germany or Bangladesh, they could not use their own national currency to purchase that. It would not be recognized internationally. The only currency that is recognized internationally, okay, besides the euro dollar, is the American dollar, okay? That was a policy that was started, and that was a system that was put in place under President Nixon, okay? And I believe his Secretary of State, I forget his name, but he orchestrated that plan. It was a brilliant plan that, as negative of a legacy as I know everybody knows Nixon has because of Watergate, that was probably his progeny. That was part of the, I guess, from a benefiting, the United States point of view, that was part of a positive part of his legend. See, inserting the American dollar into the world economy, okay, to the point where every country needs our American dollars to do international trade, which also makes it easier to put pressure on countries like North Korea and Iran by saying you can't have no more American currency. You can't do business with the countries that, do business with us. That ensures the survival of a country even years after the Nixon administration ended. Years after he got on that helicopter, put up the peace sign and left Washington. That ensures that no matter how much we are in debt, the rest of the world depends on us to keep cranking out those American dollars. Essentially, what you're looking at is legalized counterfeit, because the American dollar has depreciated to the point where its value is almost nothing compared to the raw resources and material that we get from the rest of the world that gives it to us, because they need our American dollars, to flow through their economy so that they can get the stuff that they need from other countries. You see what I'm saying? So the American dollar is the blood flow of the world's economy. Now, many people would argue that this is the real reason why Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein were gotten rid of by the CIA and the Bush administration. Not because they thought they had weapons of mass destruction, but because both Gaddafi and Saddam had actually approached OPEC, which are the 7 nations, including the Middle Eastern nations, that have the largest oil. They have the largest oil resources, and they suggested, hey, since us Arabs, since us sand Negroes are the ones that are sitting on top of the most oil, why not, instead of doing trade and buying barrels of oil and selling barrels of oil in American dollars all over the world, why don't we use our own currency? Or why don't we unite and come up with our own currency? You know what I'm saying? And we will control, not only the oil market, we will control the world market, because almost all modern day nations need oil, need fuel to not only run the cars of individuals, to run their militaries, to run their factories, to run generators that produce electricity for our homes. So then when they suggested that they use an Arab currency, that was a direct threat to the white man's system that had been put in place under Nixon. You see what I'm saying? And so what we saw, they were dethroned. They didn't have a problem. You think about it. They didn't go after Saddam and finish him off after the first Gulf War, after he tried to invade Kuwait. That was small peanuts. They didn't go after Gaddafi after they accused him of bombing Pan Am flight 103 or whatever it was. And that killed hundreds of Americans. So why all of a sudden now is it so urgent for these guys to be gotten rid of? I just told you why. Because they were making suggestions at OPEC, okay, and the United Nations that would be a direct threat to the insurance, that the white man had put in place under the Nixon administration, the American government had put in place, that would ensure, no matter what, our survival. You think about this. Why does the rest of the world give us raw material like everything's made in China or made in India? Why does the rest of the world put up with us? Well, number one is because we have the largest military in the world, but number two, because everybody needs our American dollars to do trade with anybody else. To try to, deprogram that system, take that program down and put another program in would cost trillions of dollars and millions of untangling little parts here and there, intertwined in world banks all over the world that no country could afford or would survive. So we're $18 trillion in debt, but yet we're still the most powerful country in the world. And we ensure that we have the biggest military because people keep giving us raw material because they need our American dollars. Now see, North Korea doesn't have anything to do with them being communist. The United States just wants them to play along, play into the white man's little game, play into America's little game of, do what we say, use our currency, play the game the way we want to play it, and hey, all will be well. But see, the North Koreans are saying fuck you, like the Russians are saying fuck you, right? And plus, they're showing that they can survive without having to do trade and do business with the white man. Not only that, but that they can obtain materials for building super weapons such as nuclear bombs. So the white man not only sees that as a direct threat because of the nuclear weapons, but he sees North Korea as a possible challenge to his reign of control that he's had since the industrialized revolution. Okay? And that's the real reason why they're coming after North Korea. They're afraid to invade North Korea. You notice the United States only picks fights it knows it can win, in a short term. Now, I believe this country could whoop any fight in a conventional warfare, probably even in a nuclear war, but it would take, a lot more American lives and resources than we're willing to put forward. After World War II, we never wanted to get involved in another major conflict, of epic proportions. That's why we gave up and pulled out of Vietnam when we realized them little motherfuckers wasn't going to give up. They just wasn't going to stop fighting. Okay? So we place all of these economic sanctions on North Korea to try to squeeze off the flow, of money and material going in and out of their country, which is probably why they're coming to the bargaining table right now. And they're probably going to try to pull a fast one on Trump like they did Obama and Bush, But, to be honest with you, I really don't blame the North Koreans for, wanting to stand toe-to-toe against the white man. They try to make it, anybody who doesn't want to play the white man's game, particularly the American white man, that they're an evil tyrant. Even though some of these same people, Osama bin Laden, Gaddafi, fucking Saddam Hussein, were on Uncle Sam's payroll at one point. So see, so long as you playing the white man's game the way he wants you to play it, he'll make you rich. He'll set you up in a palace. You know, he'll give weapons to your military as they did to Bin Laden. But the moment you deviate from that and you become a threat to, you know, the agenda that he has going on, then all of a sudden he got, you know, you got a problem. See, the white man wants to stay on top. That's what I try to tell people. He don't care about any of this mess that's going on in the hood. The white man knows, and he ensures through allowing, you know, these lip-tarded welfare policies that us as black people, we're not even a threat. Bill Cosby tried to have just a little bit of power by buying ABC. They wouldn't allow it. And to ensure that he didn't, you know, no other Negro got any big, bright ideas like that again. You see what they're doing to him right now, right? I mean, how many fucking black Wall Street executives do you know? How many blacks of major Fortune 500 companies do you know? Black CEOs, right? There are a few sprinkled here and there, but for the most part, black people have no control, you know, directly over, you know, the resources and the organizations and the institution that control the flow of, you know, the world's economy, and more essentially, the American economy. I mean, when we get a black male or female chairman of the Federal Reserve, then come back and talk to me. Ain't never gonna happen. Ain't never gonna happen. And if I live in my lifetime to see that, I'll kick myself in the ass for saying that. Ain't never gonna happen. Okay? So they know they got us on lockdown with the, you know, all the foolishness, you know, the malt liquor, the blackened mouths, the twerking, you know, arguing over dumb shit, you know, watching the NBA finals. White man ain't even worried about us. But it irks him that he has to come to the bargaining table with China. He has to come to the bargaining table with North Korea. He couldn't, you know, conventionally beat Japan in warfare. They had to drop an atomic bomb, 2 atomic bombs, to make them surrender. They knew that invading mainland Japan would be an absolute disaster that would cost millions of American lives. And the American people wouldn't have the stomach for that, okay? They couldn't win a war against, you know, what was essentially a guerrilla warfare tactic using North Vietnamese army in Vietnam. They couldn't completely overrun the North Koreans during the Korean War, you know, under the flag of fighting under the United Nations and NATO. At every given point on a technological scale and on a militaristic scale, the white man has had to negotiate with his Asian counterparts, because the Asians, while they're not, you know, very physically strong, they are highly mentally integrated. They are well educated. They are economists. They learn very quickly. You know, they've developed very well. Their cities are larger than ours. They have armies larger than ours. You know, and the white man knows that, you know, his technology and his white skin and his games can only get him so far. Now, this isn't me hating on white people. This is just me, you know, off the cuff, you know, sharing my mind with you guys, telling you the exact truth of what I feel is going on between North Korea and the real reason why the American white man right now, you know, the latest puppet in the White House, Donald Trump, is trying to disarm them. Okay? They see them not only as a military threat, but they see them more as a economic threat. See, they see them. Last thing America wants, I can tell you this right now. The last thing America wants is for China to link up with North Korea and cut a deal and say, okay, we won't honor any sanctions the United States is putting on you. Anything you need, just so long as you agree not to invade South Korea and start a war on the Korean Peninsula close to us where we have to come in and kick both y'all ass, you got it. Your wish is our command. And besides, we all slanty-eyed people, so we got your back, Asian brother. That's the last thing the white man wants. That's why you see in all of his movies about historical events, you know, The Last of the Mohicans, you know, The Last Samurai, all that crap, the white man is always including himself in some pivotal part of history that ain't got nothing to do with him. He cannot live in a world, and I'm not talking about every white individual, so don't be stupid. I'm talking about the white man The rich and powerful white men that, historically come from long lines of rich and powerful white men, okay, who feel like this world is theirs to rule, okay? They cannot imagine themselves in a world that they do not control and that they do not play a pivotal part in everything that makes the world go round since the dawn of mankind. So yeah, that's my take, and thanks for listening. Talk to you later, guys.